and welcome to Met News, a student-led news programme from Belfast Metropolitan College. My name is Joe.
And I'm Travis. On today's programme, we've all heard of Netflix, but what about FarmFlix? We have a report about an opportunity for students to mix farming with film.
We'll take a look at the Students' Union, what it's for, what does it do, and how does it represent you.
We also have sport with a look at Ulster Rugby's return to a small screen on BBC Two.
And finally, we'll be talking to some of the other students about their latest movie-going experience. But first, a quick look at what the college has been up to, working with the people at Corrymeela to shine a light on what they do for the disenfranchised. Let's have a look. A quick glance over at the cliffs of Rathlin Island perfectly encapsulates the beauty of the Ballycastle coastline. A beauty that hasn't been lost on the residents and volunteers of Corrymeela. Corrymeela began in 1965 as a reconciliation programme between Catholics and Protestants, and in recent years has shifted focus toward a broader set of issues that affect a broader range of people. The Belfast Met has agreed to collaborate with Corrymeela to help promote their annual 16 Days of Activism programme. We spoke to Denise Bradley, a programme manager at Corrymeela, who explained this year's focus of marginalisation.
My name is Denise Bradley, and my role at Corrymeela is programme manager for marginalisation. Marginalisation can impact anybody, regardless of age, disability or sexual orientation. And that, I guess, brings me into working with many different individuals and groups throughout Northern Ireland and at times beyond.
We also spoke to some of the people Denise refers to, asking them what about Corrymeela drew them in.
My name is Andy, and I am a programme worker here at Ballycastle, at the Ballycastle Centre here in Corrymeela. So groups that come to the centre, they will link in with me and I will facilitate any type of programme to them. So I volunteered for a year and just had such a good time and built so many good relationships and made a lot of contacts, and actually got a full-time job based out of the one of the groups that actually visited the centre. So that was enjoyable and useful as well.
My name is Hope Martin. I'm from the South Ontario, so Canada. And I'm an intern here for the year. I'm currently working in the marginalisation department, so working on a few different projects, but some administrative stuff, program designing, managing, working with groups, and really just being available. So I was here for a month pre-COVID. And I knew since the day I left that I was meant to come back.
My name is Jessica Kavinsky, and I came to Corrymeela as an intern as a part of the full year program that they have here. And so I am working alongside Denise in marginalization, and I am here to support all the projects she has going and to actually head and participate in some projects of my own. I just graduated from university in the United States, so I was a part of a 4-year undergraduate program at Ohio State. I studied peace building and international studies, and I had an interest in looking into the real world and taking my mind out of academia. And the next thing I knew, I was on a plane to Northern Ireland. So it happened very quickly, but it was right up my alley, exactly what I was looking for, and it was a great opportunity for me to really learn from people who have been in the field.
Denise explains what she finds most exciting about the collaboration with Belfast Met.
This year, for 16 Days of Activism, we're working collaboratively with Belfast Metropolitan College, and we're really very excited about that. It's given us an opportunity to be alongside young adults. It's very nurturing, it's very nourishing for Corrymeela to open up spaces to get new ideas and fresh creativity through.
Denise also touches upon their Seeds of Sequoia project, briefly explaining its goal.
The Seeds of Sequoia project is a faith guide, it's a practical guide to support faith communities to respond to domestic and sexual violence.
And finally, we asked Denise what Corrymeela's greatest aspect is to her.
The site here at Ballycastle can offer such a lovely opportunity for groups, so we would really like people to know that there is a space here.
The Belfast Met assuredly looks forward to working with Corrymeela, seeking to contribute toward their selfless endeavour of helping those in need. Joe Scannell, Met News.
And joining us now is Denise Bradley, who you saw in that report. She's the Programme Manager for Marginalisation at Corrymeela, and she's here to elaborate on what it is she does. welcome to the show, Denise.
Thank you so very much, Travis. It's an absolute joy to be here today. Thank you.
Too.
So Denise, when people think of Corrymeela, particularly older people in the community, they think of the Troubles and Corrymeela being a peace and reconciliation programme. That focus has changed over the years. How would you describe that having happened?
Yeah, that's a really interesting observation. So as we seen, I suppose Corrymeela did begin. It was 1965, and that was just before the outbreak of what we know colloquially as the Troubles in Northern Ireland. So I suppose predominantly you saw in the short film the beautiful site that we sit in. So it did become a place, I suppose, for different communities and individuals who were in the midst of the conflict to come and share space together. And I suppose the reconciliation piece really emerged from that. And I guess that theme still runs today into some of our programmes. There's still much work as we're, I suppose, are we a post-conflict society or are we in transition? I suppose our school, our education systems are still very much divided. So that work continues. And the hope is that this again will offer spaces for maybe Protestant and Catholic communities. But again, it's about widening. It's about widening our reach and starting to incorporate in all other issues that are so very relevant, particularly for our younger adults today.
You said about some like programs. You also run a few projects. You briefly mentioned in that report about the Seeds of Sequoia, and from what you've explained, it's meant to tackle sexual and domestic violence through religious communities. Could you elaborate on how it exactly does so?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, that vision for this project emerged really from my own experience. So prior to coming to Corrymeela, I worked with survivors of domestic and sexual violence for many years. And one of the gaps that we very much notice, particularly within our Northern Ireland context, and again probably emerging out of a post-conflict society, was the, I suppose, the lack of support and understanding and policy really around survivors of abuse, particularly within our religious institutions. There's a lot of hiddenness, a lot of silence, and often we can see that, even thinking about Christian communities, that the Bible and scriptures can also be used as a weapon to further control people within marriages or homes. So Seed of Sequoia emerged from that vision, and myself and a colleague who was a public theology manager. He sadly passed away last year, but he had a theological brilliance that was able to help us start bringing both the issues of domestic violence together alongside, I suppose, the theology. And Seed of Sequoia is now a practical faith guide to support faith leaders and communities to respond to all survivors of domestic abuse, as well as using scripture to examine the deep-rooted issue of gender inequality and discrimination.
Right, and looking at tackling survivors of abuse, we know that Corrymeela does the 16 Days of Activism programme on an annual basis, and they're collaborating with the college this year to help with that. Does the Seeds of Sequoia project tie in with the 16 Days of Activism?
Yes, it does, very much so. So the 16 Days of Activism is a global campaign that runs each year. I think this is the 30th year of it. The United Nations honour it, and most the women's organisations, children's organisations, LGBT organisations really would recognise this happening each year because they're often very marginalised. Yeah. So yes, very much so. We're launching the Seed of Sequoia this year, the resource, on the 25th of November, which is the beginning of the 16 days. And that will run then till December the 10th, which closes the campaign on Human Rights Day.
Well, that would perfectly align with the centre representing itself as a place for healing from those who are suffering. See, Cormila, what else
Yeah.
does it offer for those who are suffering and looking for healing?
Well, Coromila is a large organisation. It has many, I suppose, components, but one of the key spaces, I suppose, that would be and is used for bringing more fragmented communities together would be at the centre. I think the space in itself just holds a real refuge where people can come and be. We would offer therapeutic and creative arts, movement, music, dialogue, and also much of my work and my team would work out in communities, because often we need to be in the communities alongside most marginalised groups. So looking at young people, those seeking refuge, asylum, CARES groups, HIV, mental health. You know, there's so many different elements to marginalisation. So it's out in the communities as well, and to be alongside.
I'm sure everyone at college will find that very insightful. You can find out more at www.cormila.org. Thank you very much for your time, Denise. It's much appreciated.
Yes, thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Up next on the programme, tractors and harvesters usually don't have much appeal to younger people. Usually. Brian Milligan, a member of the FarmFlix team, came to our E3 campus to give a talk to students about the opportunities his organisation can offer them. Let's take a look.
The sound of expectant footsteps. Students filed into the main studio at Belfast Met Film and Television School to hear about one of the more unusual pathways within the industry.
Royalty free if you want. If you want to go on and pick tunes, it's awful to say. It's not that it's not going to see the light of day. You know, it's like
They were here to listen to Brian Milligan from FarmFlix, who was encouraging them to put camera and editing skills to use in farming.
That's the yoke.
I started by asking him what FarmFlix is all about.
FarmFlix is a media platform that was developed and designed 5 years ago. It's a bit like the Netflix model. We make documentaries for people in agriculture. The younger generation is the future of any industry. So I think it's vitally important to get people who are enthusiastic, who enjoy what they do and have a passion and a love and a desire to want to submerge themselves.
The talk was set up by Alan McCracken, coordinator of the film course at E3. He said that the talk fulfilled the aims of what the college set out to do with the course.
One of the key objectives for the Belfast Met Film and Television School is to help our students get jobs in the industry. And obviously one of the things that we haven't been able to do due to coronavirus, but now we can, now the doors are open, or bring industry professionals like Brian from FarmFlix today to come and offer opportunities to the students.
The mower broke on me yesterday, so it went from a...
And judging by the responses and reactions of the students, they seemed interested in what Brian had to say.
The thing I enjoyed the most today in the presentation was it was very informative. I got all of my questions got answered by the man who took it. He was lovely, and the company told us a whole lot about it.
Well, it's very clear that the kind of skills you need are things like organisation, and you need to be committed. You need to be able to get yourself from point A to point B with no questions asked or anything like that.
Well, a lesson that the film and television students of Belfast Met certainly learned a lot from, and again highlighting the opportunities afforded by Belfast Met in giving careers advice. You can find out more information about FarmFlix on their website, www.farmflix.tv. Lewis Bennett for Met News.
Well, hopefully that's opened some eyes to the many ways a student can get their foot in the door of the media industry.
The Belfast Met is always looking to offer its students as much as possible, even if their offer can sometimes be confusing. We took a look at the Students' Union to find out what you do and what you don't know. The Belfast Met has always adapted to the changing times, incorporating the latest technology and methodology to assist its students in their study. A key priority for the college is to maintain student well-being and safety, be that through more conventional means meant to tackle more conventional problems, to handling the outbreak of COVID-19, trying to curb its spread. A series of visual aids, for example, clearly showing that the college takes this obligation seriously. The Students' Union provides them a voice, seeking to empower students by giving them a say in how things are done. But just how much of this do students know? When asked, their answers varied greatly.
Not entirely, but I do know its purpose is supposed to represent students with like their issues with the college and maybe maintain their rights within the college so they're not abused, or they can raise issues that are affecting everyday life as a student.
Nothing at all. Nothing. No, not a thing. No.
It can help with like learning support. I know about that, and there's like different sports clubs and getting involved with different people and making new mates.
One question in particular, however, appears to only have one answer. The Met website states that students are automatically enrolled into the Students' Union. When asked if they knew this, they had this to say.
Not entirely until you brought it up to me, to be honest with you. So,
Is that the first time you're hearing about it?
Yeah, yes.
No, didn't. No.
That's never been made.
No.
No. Am I?
As a student, you're automatically enrolled.
Happy days. No. Never.
This confusion brought me to the Castlereagh campus, where I could find Eugene McKenna, liaison officer for the Students' Union. Eugene has agreed to speak with me, explaining who he is and what he does.
I first started in the college in 2019, 4th of March. I've been in the Students' Union since then. So in my role, I basically help run the Students' Union day-to-day activities. So I'm the main point of contact. If anyone needs to know anything, they'll know where to send you.
He then went on to explain more about the Students' Union facilities, which is in line with what the college website tells us.
There's pool tables, ping pong tables, and we've had PlayStations with, we had FIFA before, and then we always listen to students if they want a game in, and it's willing, we can get it.
When the topic changed to the Student Council, Eugene wanted to explain more about them, what they do, and how they can help students.
There's also Student Council, which is a big thing, and class reps. So we'll just talk about Student Council first. Student Council, we elect 14 positions if people apply for them. This year we have got 6 elected members, and we've got a student president as well. So Gabrielle Riley is in position for student president. And we're hoping to do our first event with the Student Council, which will be Anti-Bullying Week starting next week. So we've actually got a quiz out on Canvas, which will be going out today, where it'll just be a survey to find out if you've ever experienced bullying before and whether you'd be happy enough to talk to the Student Council about your experience to help people deal with bullying.
That focus on bullying reminded me of some of the confusion students had about what the Students' Union actually does. I wanted Eugene to set the record straight.
We do offer guidance, but it's more so signposting. So if anyone has them sorts of issues, please come to the Students' Union and we can signpost you to the right person.
With that all out of the way, there was one burning topic that I had to ask about: automatic enrolment into the Students' Union.
Yeah, so as a student of the Belfast Met, you're automatically a part of the Belfast Met Students' Union.
I asked if he thought there was a failure of communication, given that so many students don't seem to know about it.
Possibly, yeah. It's a good question, and it's something we maybe need to look at ourselves. I know whenever I first actually came into the Students' Union, our student sabbatical officer at the time did state that they didn't know where the Students' Union was for the first 6 months of them being at the college. We need to take our Student Council to have, that's maybe what they're going to look at this year possibly, and seeing how we can get that message out to students that you are a part of the Students' Union. And if there's any students, if they have any ideas, please do come forward and tell us, because again, I'm open to ideas. If you want to get involved with that, that's just get in contact with myself. So our email is studentsunion@belfastmet.ac.uk, and you can also email me, which is emckenna@belfastmet.ac.uk.
Whether or not the Students' Union can shed some of that confusion is only a matter of time and will. Joe Scannell, Met News. Joining us now is Gabrielle Riley. She is the president of the Students' Union and one of its key representatives. She's agreed to come here and answer some questions about the body. Gabrielle, welcome to the programme.
Thank you. Eugene had talked about the bullying survey during the clip. What made the Students' Union want to focus on bullying in particular?
Well, it sort of came about at our first meeting, and we just think that bullying is the real pandemic that's been going on for a very long time. I'm a mature student, so I didn't really have to deal with, everybody's had to deal with bullying, I think, and it in so many forms. But when I came home, I was okay to I could switch off. I didn't have to deal with it. Yeah. But it's on the rise, and it's affecting younger and younger children. And we just wanted to do something that really would make a difference. And like I say, it's not just the victim that's affected, and it's not just the victim. It's and it goes on, and it's just such a pernicious, pervasive, insidious thing that isn't really going away. And, these days, there's a lot of, we're talking about LGBTQ plus rights and, things like that. And really bullying, manipulation, and all this is really at the heart of these things. And it all just stems from insecurity. So we just thought, as a collective, we want to just tackle this head on, and we want to make a difference. And, going to college, and starting your life, and you don't need to be hung up by these things. And, whenever I first came to Belfast Met, what was I doing? Sociology. And I did a whole big thing about suicide. And just when you actually look at the statistics, it made me very emotional. And then being part of the Students' Union, not just this year, but in previous years, we were able to go to a conference where we talked to different politicians. And it just, I don't know, there's time and a place for COP29 or whatever it is, but we actually wanted to make a difference. We wanted to do something tangible, so that's what we decided to do.
Yeah, very well said.
Thank you.
And speaking of making a difference, the Students' Union offers students ways to collaborate with each other in the form of clubs, but the union also allows people to create their own clubs and to form around each other. Could you explain how they would go about doing that?
Well, this is it. It's the same thing as bullying. Nobody's an individual.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of clubs at the minute. We've actually got more going on than what we have in previous years. Now we've a lot of sports clubs going on, and I'm not the most sporty. I'm more into drama and film and things like that. So if anybody wants to, maybe even start a comedy club, things like that, what you do is you get involved with the Students' Union, and you can get involved with the Students' Union by, what is the email address? studentsunion@belfastmet.ac.uk.
That's it.
And but really what you need to do is come into Students' Union or send us an email and just tell us about what you're interested in, because I think lots of people would like to get involved. It's a great thing to have in your CV. It's a great thing to give people confidence and about getting into university or even just making friends. But the only thing I would say is, in terms of health and safety, it's recommended that a staff member needs to be there. So like I say, if you're interested, we're here to help you. And definitely check out Canvas, because Canvas is a one-stop shop for everything. And when I was going to college before, it was Blackboard, and Blackboard was, for lack of a better word, it was melt. So we've put a lot of funding, a lot of research into making Canvas user-friendly. And there's, we'll give you financial support, we'll give you well-being support, we'll give you, the possibilities are endless. We are there for you, and they have helped me so much. And ask yourself not what you can do for Belfast Met, but what Belfast Met can do for you.
Fantastic.
Love the quote. Speaking of getting involved, what we all really want to know, I'm sure, is what are, in your opinion, the best ways to engage with the Students' Union?
The best ways to engage, like I said, go on to Canvas. Just always even if you're feeling a wee bit overwhelmed by work and stuff, they're so supportive. I remember my friend Emmanuel Giwa, and he's originally from, where was it? North Africa, right. And he told me, because I was feeling, when was it? I think it was like our mocks were coming up, and I was feeling like I wasn't prepared, and he said, Gabrielle, don't worry. They've given me books. Even if you don't even have the money for books, just come in, just talk to us. Don't be shy. Do you know, we're always there. Like I said, there's pastoral support. You know, there's also, what is it? There's counselling. So just don't be shy. You know, just go to Canvas. Just keep checking your emails. Just click on the links. It couldn't be easier.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can find out more by getting in touch with the Students' Union using the information provided in the film. Gabrielle Riley, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Making their grandiose return to BBC Two is Ulster Rugby, to a joy of many fans. Here to get the scoop and the latest information on this is Stephen Somerville.
Ulster Rugby on the BBC has brought audiences together on terrestrial television in Northern Ireland for years and years, and has been loyal to its supporters by bringing in great content and for people to enjoy a Friday night at the ground. The man behind the microphone who has been an unsung cult hero of Ulster is Jim Neely, who has been commentating on Ulster Rugby games for nearly 30 years.
I suppose it is a long time for anybody to be in any particular job, but when you do a job like I do and enjoy it as much, then it's very hard to give it up. I've been threatening to give it up for a number of years, but I haven't quite got round to it. And I can remember my very first international match, which was way back in January 1979, and it was Ireland-France at Lansdowne Road in Dublin, and I was very, very nervous, because I went straight on to not just Radio Ulster, but BBC Radio 2 in those days. And I was working with a broadcasting legend, and I know the term is overused, called Peter West. And he was the nicest man in the world and made me feel very comfortable. And at the end of the match, we got everything done, and we did reports for Wales and Scotland and World Service. And he said to me, he took his old pipe out and he had a puff at it. And he said, you know, Jimbo, he said, here we are in the best seat in the house, watching the game we love. He said, and somebody's paying us to be here. So I thought, I've never forgotten that. And he was absolutely right.
Another familiar face in BBC Sport is Stephen Watson, who has been presenting for more than 20 years. Alongside Tommy Bowe and Rory Best, they front the live coverage from Ravenhill on BBC Two.
The feedback has been incredible. We've had a great response to the rugby coming back on BBC Northern Ireland. We've been managed to secure 6 or 7 live Ulster home matches this season, and we're thrilled to be able to get those back again. You know, BBC Northern Ireland were so disappointed to lose the coverage a few years ago. But look, we're a small nation. We find it hard to compete against the big satellite broadcasters. So, you know, credit to my bosses and bosses in BBC Northern Ireland and to the Pro 14, now the new United Rugby Championship, for all they have done to try and bring Ulster Rugby and the entire United Rugby Championship back on to free to air in some shape or form. The Ulster Rugby Show as well, which is kind of a new addition to our rugby coverage this year. So my colleague Gavin Andrews presents that programme with 2 of the biggest names in Ulster and Irish rugby, Tommy Bowe and Rory Best. It's good fun. Tommy's a bit of a joker and a prankster, of course. Rory can be a little bit more serious too, but he's got a good sense of humour as well. We try and make it light at times as well as having some serious analysis. But look, it's great having those 2 in the studio. Our next one, we're looking forward to Boxing Day against Connacht. Should be great.
A lot of people have said to me how much they've missed the regular Friday night coverage. Like Friday night used to be rugby night, particularly at Ravenhill, and people would go along to Ravenhill and see their friends and have a couple of pints, enjoy themselves, and go home and watch the match on the BBC, having recorded. I know that when we were doing them all the time, when I went home on a Friday night, I would sit down with a cup of coffee and a chocolate biscuit, which I shouldn't be eating at all, of course, and watch the game again just to see how many mistakes I made.
For your expectations for Ulster, this season and for the BBC, hopefully get some good games. How do you see the season going out for Ulster if it all comes to play?
Well, Stephen, Ulster started off particularly well, and they won their first games in the new championship reasonably handily without playing wonderfully well. They made a few errors, but they got through, and they got bonus points in each of the games. And after 4 games, they were sitting at the top with maximum points. And then it all came crashing down to the ground when they played Connacht at the Aviva Stadium at Lansdowne Road. And a lot of the frailties and a lot of the problems which had been plaguing them for the past 2 or 3 years came back. Connacht, I thought, played particularly well, and Ulster didn't play particularly well. So having had a kind of a stop-start beginning to the season, then it's going to be full on, and every single game is going to be an important game.
There's a real buzz and positivity around the province of rugby being back on the BBC. If you want to catch up with the programmes, you can catch it on BBC Two NI every Thursday, and to catch up later on, it'll be on the BBC iPlayer for a 30-day limit. Stephen Somerville, Met News.
I'm sure many people at home are celebrating, Stephen included, about the return of Ulster Rugby to BBC Two.
Speaking of celebrations, it's been 6 years since we last saw Bond on the big screen, and he's finally made his return, coming out with No Time to Die this past month. Let's take a look.
James Bond. License to Kill. History of violence. I could be speaking to my own reflection. Only your skills die with your body. Mine will survive long after I'm gone.
History isn't kind to men who play God.
Speaking to us now is James and Helena, 2 of our journalism students, who have a few things to say about the film. James and Helena, welcome on.
Welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
So overall, what were your thoughts on the film?
Our overall thoughts were pretty good, so
Yeah,
there weren't
it
they?
was-
Yeah,
the stunts were like really impressive.
yeah. We were just saying when we were just watching that there clip, what we picked out was probably the best stunt, really, or what our joint
Our favourite highlights,
favorite highlight of the whole thing.
What were you like? See, was there any stunt that in particular that stood out to you?
Well, the one thing I think they all stood out. The one thing that stood out was the one at the very start. Really, you see him jumping off a bridge. So sorry for spoiler alerts. Spoiler
beginning
alerts.
of the
Sure.
film.
Yeah. So like at the end, when he jumps off the bridge really on the rope. I thought that was a very good stunt.
I watched the film and I was thinking to myself watching the trailer there that the trailer looks far better than the actual film is, in my opinion, but I still think it was a great movie nonetheless.
Another big movie release just this month, The Eternals. Me and you, James, we actually went to see this
Yes,
together.
we
and
did.
we had quite opposite experiences.
Yeah, I
I'd
know,
say.
quite opposite experience. But I think they were all good experiences, really, from different points of view. So that was pretty good. So it was.
Here's a clip.
We need to find the others.
I haven't seen some of them for centuries.
Hi.
Hello.
This is what the end of the world looks like. At least we have front row seats.
You know what's never saved the planet? Your sarcasm.
We have loved these people since the day we arrived. When you love something, you protect it.
You can't protect. Any of them.
So, starting with you first, what did you think of the plot?
I thought the plot was very similar to what we've seen before, really, but like overall, the plot was okay. So it was, but still a good film to go and see because they really are like bit like when they brought out Guardians of the Galaxy, playing like trying to experiment, is this going to be a flop really or a big success really? So they're probably on both sides of it really. So I think it's like the plot wasn't like original, but it was still what they're going for really.
I believe we both said that we thought like the plot was a bit laboured. Personally, I thought it was a bit too long, and there was one subplot. It was a romantic plot. It never got resolved, and I was sitting there at the movie like,
and you were so frustrated.
Yeah, it was like the main character just looked so horrible. I was like, what?
Yeah, there's some. Well, they could also revisit that there if they're going to bring them back in for a sequel. Really, they're probably going to wait for a sequel.
I know you haven't seen it, but we just seen the trailer there. What did you think of it?
Well, my friend is really wanting to go see it, so I'll probably be dragged to it. But
Yeah.
hopefully, like, it still like fulfills after Endgame, because that's what I'm interested in finding out.
Well, that's all from us. Thank you very much for watching the programme. I'm Joe.
And I'm Travis. We'll see you next time on Met News. Until then, stay classy, Belfast. I had to, okay. You know what?
What?
So if you keep going for that biscuit, this will be the last time.
Oh, good. Well, no, but like if you go for Helena, I'll go for you.
I'll go for both of you. Me and Joe have been lawfully wedded for like 20 years now. We'll go for both.
No, like if you go for